Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the Rusty and Jan Show in honor of Valentine's Day. Oh, sweetie, I love you. I love you so much.
Love you too, honey.
We will be throwing in some sweet music for your listening pleasure.
Our guest today is Pat Wictor and will feature a song by Charles Nolan.
And then we'll hear from George over at the Melalani Cafe.
We'll play a song that Rusty and I wrote together last year about love.
So if you're ready, let's get started with
The Rusty and Jan Show.
When the world comes crashing down on us, you're always there, and you're always happy company because you care. Oh yes, you care, and when we need to talk out pain, well, no one else will do. Dial the phone or go on Zoom. Thank God there are friends like you. I said thank God there are friends like you.
Our monthly song spotlight features a song by Charles Nolan. It's about two people who reconnect after a long time.
This is called 23rd and 7th.
And here's a totally different song called 23rd and 7th. She was waiting at the corner, same one where we met. She was wearing her old blue sweater, she was sneaking a cigarette. There was a mist up from the river, but she didn't mind getting wet. That's just like her. I came up from the subway steps, I knew I was running late. Had some trouble getting my MasterCard to 58th Street gate. But she waved when she saw me, which was cause to celebrate. That's just like her. It was almost 20 years since we last stood on this spot. Had to admit that we both had changed a lot. But she smiled as I stepped up to the curb, the years just dropped. That's just like her. I guess we both were wondering what was coming next. She said I was half surprised when you returned my text, but like resurrection interrupted Jesus' day of rest. I had nowhere to go, and she's the best nowhere I know. So we stood and watched the traffic without saying half a word. And the city started singing the best song I ever heard. She put her hand in my hand as we stepped off the curb. That's just like her. Just like her. Just like her. Twenty-third and 7th.
Hey, Rusty, should we see what George is cooking up for us?
Yeah, that sounds like fun. It's time for
George's Corner.
He knows what I like. When I come home from work and my back's all tight, I sits down at the table and he serves it up real hot. Get myself excited just a sniffing around that pot. Homemade soup.
Hi everybody, and I'd like to thank Rusty and Jan for having me on their show. I would like to say to all the musicians to stay tough and stay strong as we get through this next month. Hopefully, we'll be able to, get back to having regular shows and stuff again. These podcasts matter a lot, I think, for music, for it to keep going on through the gap, and virtual open mics and stuff. So, to all the musicians out there, just, keep practicing, and we're going to make it through this, because I know that we've had to, stop doing live music just to keep everybody safe. So, but I think that, it's a good time to practice, and it's a good time to eat for sure too. So my suggestion would be a really good turkey chili. Making it is really easy, and it's healthier than regular chili because you're going to use ground turkey instead of ground beef. And there's a lot of recipes out there. I recommend using onions, celery, carrots, and then I like to use kidney beans when I make, and then sometimes I like to use a couple other beans and a couple cans of tomato sauce and tomato paste, salt, pepper, and it's always good to roast off the turkey first, grill it up a little bit with some seasoning, and then there's definitely, depending how spicy you want it too, definitely check out a couple recipes before you make it, because I gave you a quick rundown one, but it's definitely something that's great to make for this time. You can always make it in a crock pot. Thank you, Rusty and Jan, and stay tuned for their guest. Thank you. Bye.
We had the pleasure of speaking with Pat Wictor, and this is how the interview went.
Pat Wictor first burst on the folk and acoustic scene as an innovative lap slide guitarist, known for fresh and memorable interpretations of traditional and contemporary songs. Since then, he has made his mark as a singer-songwriter, penning lean and poetic songs that honor and subvert rural blues and gospel traditions. So without further ado, let's welcome our friend, Pat Wictor.
Hi, Pat.
Hello,
How are
Rusty.
you?
Hello, Jan. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
I'm
our
doing-
pleasure. Anyway, to get started, from your biography, it looks like you spent a lot of time as a child traveling abroad. Can you tell us about that and also how you feel it influenced your music?
Sure. My dad worked in the oil business. I was born in '66, the 1970s, and up through the mid-'80s was a pretty tumultuous time in the oil business internationally. There was lots of things going on. I've only understood this, obviously, in retrospect. As a child, I didn't know anything about that. But what it meant for us as a family is we moved a lot. So I was born in Venezuela. My parents, my dad was from Iowa and my mother was from California. They met in Venezuela. And so my immediate siblings, I have 3 older brothers and an older sister. We were all born in Venezuela. So, and then we moved every few years. So I lived in East Texas, in the Netherlands, in Norway, in England, and Norway a second time. And that's where I graduated from high school. I went to American schools in these places where I lived abroad. And so in terms of how that influenced my music, I first learned to play musical instruments while I was in school. So I'm a product of primary and middle school music education, where they sat all the kids down in 6th grade and said, "Okay, kids, you're learning an instrument." So I picked the trumpet. And then 2 years later, they sat everybody down and said, "Okay, you're learning to play the guitar." And I said, "Really?" And, from there, I forgot all about the trumpet, and I was hooked on guitar. So it was through my schooling that I first started playing music. In terms of how it's affected my music living abroad, I would say there's a funny contradiction here, which of course is that my music is pretty heavily grounded in American musical traditions. I'm really steeped in Mississippi Delta blues, and increasingly I'm learning more about gospel and jazz and some of these other kind of very rooted American traditions. But my interest in those things has a lot to do with having grown up abroad and trying to figure out what my place is as an American. So my parents were both from the States. I was born a citizen, but I didn't really feel like an American until I really started playing this music. and really investigating it. And that was my connection. That's how I felt like I had a place here. It was amongst the musicians. The other thing that I would say is that living abroad growing up, the first thing that I really understood once I started understanding a little bit about the world was that I was an American and I was from this place called the United States, but it was only one of many places in the world because I only lived there for a few years as a kid.
Right.
And I lived in all these other countries that had their own culture, their own language, their own, or in the case of England, their own dialects, their own customs. Everything was different. And I was a guest in all of these places. And so I think that sense of a wider world and having a big picture perspective has informed how I write songs. It informs the concerns that I address in my songs. All of that, I think, played a big role in shaping me. So, yeah.
Okay, well, how about our song?
This one's also a newish one. This is called What If? What if the truth is too bitter to take? If my story is all fake, but it makes me feel okay, does it matter anyway? What if a lie holds the sun up in my sky? I look myself right in the eye and say I'm doing fine, long as the world falls into line. What if the story I tell myself is all wrong? What if it's me and I can only sing one song? What if the story I tell myself is all wrong? What if it's me and I can only sing one song? One song. What if I see only what causes me no shame, and the rest I hope will stay excluded from the frame? Can I bear to take some blame? What if the story I tell myself is all wrong? What if it's me and I can only sing one song? What if the story I tell myself is all wrong? What if it's me and I can only sing one song? One song.
What a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. You started doing improvisational workshops, did you not?
I did. I've been an improviser my entire musical life, and I think early on it was an expression of indiscipline. Rather than learning songs, I would just make up things. And so I've been doing that ever since I've been playing music, starting in my early teens. And really in the last 8 years, it's become a more serious object to study for me. I first attended a vocal improv workshop with Bobby McFerrin in 2013, and I went just kind of on a lark. If 2013 was a rough year for me, my parents were both sick, and they both passed that year, and I wanted to do something for myself, that would be different and strange and fun and joyous,
no. I
and it
can't
opened up a
imagine.
whole world of things. One of the things that happened at Bobby's workshop was gaining an experience of standing in a room with 150 or 200 people, all singing together. They were from all parts of the world, and many people didn't speak a word of English. Actually, they had come, they had flown for an entire day to get from wherever they lived. They came from all over to sing with Bobby. And so there we were, all in this room singing these improvised pieces of music. There was essentially choral music. What Bobby does is these large group improvisations where he conducts large sections of people singing these parts that have been made up. And and so I had this incredible experience in the middle of that, thinking, this is what world peace sounds like.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so I've wanted in some shape or form to experience that more often and to be a part of putting that out in the world. And so I've been to several more of Bobby's workshops. I've studied with several other people who are also doing small and large group improvisations. There's a wonderful group of musicians in Brazil, in São Paulo, who their organization is called Música do Círculo, and they go out in a park in São Paulo and just start these improvisations that involve singing and body percussion and movement, and they'll go for 2 hours, 3 hours at a time without stopping, just in these flowing improvisations. And so they now are teaching classes, showing people how they do what they do. So I've been learning all this stuff and finding ways. In the pandemic, it's pretty hard to do it, but I led some vocal improv workshops before that. I just recently did my first corporate training, and it was billed as team building and inclusiveness. And so I was working with a bunch of people who were mostly computer engineers and data management, scientists, basically. These were really smart people who were not at all used to connecting with their bodies. They lived the life of the mind all the time. And so my job was to get them moving a little bit, get them interacting a little bit, and we had a great time. So
Did you have them
I'm
singing?
actually looking to do more of that. What's that?
Yeah.
Did you have them singing? To the
I had
corporate
them
people?
singing. They were extremely shy about it. And they were much more comfortable with body percussion and physical movement and gesture. I did get them to chant. They were perfectly good with chanting as long as they didn't have to sing.
Interesting.
It's interesting. The dynamics are delicate when you're working with people who work together. And so there are interpersonal things, and there are things there are considerations of how much are we going to disclose to our coworkers? When the workshop facilitator leaves, what kind of impression have we all made on each other? Knowing that we have to keep working together. So these are all things that I've been learning as I've been working in those kinds of settings.
Well, do you have another song for us?
I do. It's one that many people in the Philadelphia area and elsewhere already know me for, but I thought I would sing it because why not? You say your heart's been turned to stone. You say you wanna be left alone. You say love only made you weep and moan. Let me tell you something that you know in your bones. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say your soul's like a dry riverbed, stopped waiting for the water long ago. You said you better pray all night for the rain instead. Love comes like a tidal wave over your head. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say waiting for love takes too long. Dulls a sharp mind, weakens a strong. Well, you may be right, but you may be wrong. 'Cause love can make a mountain come tumbling down. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Doo-doo. River washes over every woman and man, feet in the gravel and mud in your hands. Nothing can stand against the love's command. Every boulder turns into a grain of sand. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. I said love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock.
Wow. That was great. Through the roof.
I have to tell you, we enjoyed that because we harmonized it with you. No
I
one will
figured
ever
you
hear
would.
that.
I wanted you all to sing along, and folks who were listening to sing along too. So
Well, we enjoyed it, but no one else ever will.
yes, that's Zoom harmonization.
Yes, Zoom harmonizations.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today, Pat.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, wow.
Before we let you go, can you tell our listeners where they can go to hear more of your music?
Sure. I think the two easiest ways to just get a good earful are on my website, which is patwictor.com. My last name is spelled like Victor with a W, patwictor.com. Or you could go to my Bandcamp page. You can listen to everything that I've recorded there. It's just patwictor.bandcamp.com. I think those are two good places to start. There's a lot of footage of me on YouTube, and so if you do a search for me on YouTube, you'll get lots of stuff, including, shaky iPhone footage and all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. And
Thanks
we
for
look
having
forward
me.
to seeing you again very soon.
Yes.
yeah, very, very much so. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Well, I thought that was an interesting interview with Pat. What about you, Jan?
I agree. I learned some really interesting things about his life and his music.
No, that's the thing about doing this show. We learn so much every week from people we've known for years. It's amazing. Anyhow, next, we'd like to play a song that Jan and I wrote together last year around Valentine's Day.
This is my first successful attempt at writing a viable chord progression and melody. Rusty wrote the lyrics, and we were very pleased with the way our collaboration turned out on this song.
This is a song called Just Thought You Should Know. You know?
I know.
I love you. I thought you should know. I positively love you. It might not always show how you make me feel. My broken heart is healed. I love you. Just thought you should know. When we make our sound, the music's all around. To have you near, you always calm my fears. All that I can say is you made me feel this way. You know I'm deeply thankful every day, every day. When we make our sound, the music's all around. Oh, to have you near, you always calm my fears. All that I can say is you made me feel this way. You know I'm deeply thankful every day. It's not like we're a new thing. We had our ups and downs, but I know that I'm a better man whenever you're around. You help me when I strive. You make me feel alive. You've helped me sing my song. I love you till my life is gone. I love you. I hope you understand. Oh yeah, I positively love you. Glad to be your man. How you make me feel. What we have is real. I love you. Just thought you should know. I thought that you should know.